pronunciation of subjects essays class 7 and the lesson first when, where and how. Last in the previous video we have seen the continuity and changes, how the things is continuing from the ancient period, from the medieval period to the recent period also. And also we have seen the Indo-Islamic integration also, we have seen their heritage also we have seen, because some Mughal foreigners came to India for the business, and with them, belongs with them, they also brought up their religion Islam. So also we have seen the Indo-Islamic integration, and at last we have seen the religious development, how the language develops, how the various languages developed in that period, and how many religious beliefs also developed. Then we have also seen the changing names of the land, that means where we are living in India, but from the ancient period, in the ancient period it is called in a different name. Like in the Vedic period it was called Aryavarta, and in Puran period it was called Bharatvarshnam, and in Sanskrit language it was called Bharat, and now in the Indian constitution we use both word for the India, Bharat and India. Now today we are going to see the sources of history. So there are some sources of history to learn and to get the information about the ancient period and the medieval period. That means how the people were living in the medieval period, how they ate, how they dressed up, and how the festival they were celebrating, and everything we will see today in this sources of history. How many sources are there, and what is the use of that sources, and which kind of information we will get from that sources. This everything we will see today. So sources of history, page number 15. You also see in your textbook. We know that historians use information from the different sources such as literature, coins, painting, inscriptions, etc. to write about the history of the country. That means historians used very different sources to write that about the actual period, the medieval period, and to write about the particular ruler, particular king and their rulers, their kingdom in the historian book. So there are different sources, like sources such as literature, coins, paintings, inscription. That means the coins also tell us the information about the particular period of the king, and paintings also tell us the information about the ruler and their region, inscription, etc. to write about the history of a country. There are plenty of literary and archaeological sources for the study of medieval India. That means there are some literary sources, and archaeological sources are also available to get the information about the medieval period. So let's see in detail the literary sources and archaeological sources. Some oral sources for this period are also available. That means these are literary sources are available, and the archaeological sources are also available. But apart from this, some oral sources are also available. So first see the literary sources. A variety of literary sources are available to study the period from 700th century to 1800th century. That means the literary sources is available from 700 to 1800th century. During this period the literary sources are available, and most of these manuscripts, books and scrolls are available as archival record. That means some books, manuscripts, these are called also archival record in museum and libraries in India and abroad. That means some manuscript and books and scroll are also still available in India in some museum. If you go some famous museum, that time you can see some manuscript and some ancient period and medieval period times book in that library, and in abroad also. Now see the court chronicles. What is court chronicles? Court historians and poets often wrote the history of the rulers or the ruling dynasties of the kingdom in which they lived. That means the court heroines, court historians and poets often wrote the history. That means the court historian and some poet also were there available in the court. That means court means the kingdom. In that kingdom which they have written some they have written the dynastic ruling dynasties in the kingdom in which they live. That means some historians were available in the kingdom in which particular king's kingdom, and they have written the book about that kingdom and about that ruler's country. Such textual records are also called as court chronicles. That means the court historian has written the book about the particular king and about its kingdom. That books are called, that textual record called court chronicles. Like some biographies are here. Biographies means some other is writing about us. That means we are not writing about ourselves. That means some third person is writing about us. That is called biography. So there are some famous biographies also available. If you read that biographies, so you will get the information about the particular kings and their rulers. So Minhaj as-Siraz Tabari-e-Narsiri gives us information about the Delhi Sultanate. That means about the Delhi Sultanate. Minhaj as-Siraz has written one book, and the book is called Tabaqat-e-Nasiri. Tabaqat-e-Nasiri, this book gives us information about the Delhi Sultanate. Now Isamis has written one book on Futuh as-Salatin. That means Isamis has written one biography. One biography he has written, Futuh as-Salatin, deals with the period extending from the rise of the Ghaznavids to the region of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. That means in this book Isamis has written one biography, and the biography name is Futuh as-Salatin, and this book gives us information about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Ziauddin Faranis, then Ziauddin Baranis also written one book, Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, tell us about the Firoz Shah Tughlaq's regions. That means this book Tariq-e-Firoz tell us the information about the Tughlaq's region. Now Abul Fazl's Akbari and Akbarnama are the two most important works dealing with the Akbar's region. That means there are two most world famous biography available, and the two famous biography are Abul Fazl's. Abul Fazl's have written that two biography, and that biography name is Ain-e Akbari and Akbarnama. There are two most world famous biography, and that biography tell us the information about the Akbar's region. That means the period of the Akbar. That two biography tell us the information about that particular period of Akbar. So that biography name is Ain-e Akbari and Akbarnama. Then other important contemporary work in Baduni's Mutaqqab-ut-Tawarikh, the Padshanama. Now I have written here the Padshanama, Baburnama. This is autobiography, biography. Tariq-e-Sheikh Shah, this is also the world famous biography. Now again some biography is here. Shah Jahan's biography name is Alamgirnama. Alamgirnama is also the world famous biography, and that biography tells us information about the Shah Jahan's and the early years of the Aurangzeb's regions. Historians have observed that court historians flatter the rulers and such some of this account may be exaggerated. They also do not tell us much about the life of the common people. But historians have observed that these court chronicles only telling us the information about the particular king and their ruling. They are just telling about the kings, about their kingdoms and about their ruling. But these court chronicles not telling the information about the common people. That means how the common people were lived, what they ate, how they developed themselves. This everything, this court chronicles not telling us. Only this court chronicles telling the information about the kings and about their kingdoms. And in the biography, in this, and we have seen the lots of biographies made here recently, and in each and every biography, if you read, there is only the information about the king and their kingdom. You cannot see the common people's life in that biography. That's why the historians tell only the court historian have written in the biography about the king and their kingdom. They have not written any common life of the common people. But still, the court chronicles are still considered to be useful as they help us to understand the administrative measures, law, military campaign undertaken by the ruler. But still, they are not telling us information about the common people, but still it is useful to get the information about the administrative system of that particular period. Now, let's see the memories and the autobiographies. That means autobiography means some king has written about themselves in the book. That book is called autobiography. And biography means that some third person is written about us. It's called biography. And autobiography means that we only writing about ourselves. That means I am writing about myself. That book is called autobiography. And some third person is writing about ourselves. Then that time that book is calling biography. So let's see some biographies. Memories and the life history written by the rulers themselves are important sources of the information for this period. That means some king has written the autobiography about their ruling, about their rulers. That's it is, and that is very important source to get the information about that particular king, because that king only written about himself, about his ruler, kingdom and everything. That means it will be very important source to get the information for his particular period. So Babur's memories. The Baburnama, the famous autobiography is Baburnama. This autobiography is Baburnama. It is the world famous biography, and it throws the light on the natural landscape of India and the observation of the king. That means this biography tells us the information about the landscape of India and the observation of the king. That means what that king observed in his land or in the other land, that everything, his observation he has written, whatever he has noticed, that every point he has written in that biography by himself. So Jahangir's autobiography, Jahangirnama. Then Jahangir also has written one autobiography by himself, and that name is Jahangirnama. Give us a good idea about Jahangir's reign. Gulbadar Begum's, then Gulbadar Begum's also written one autobiography, Humayunama. Give us an insight into the affairs of the royal household. Now Baburnama is the famous autobiography, then Jahangirnama, then Humayunama. These three autobiography is the world famous autobiographies. Next, the account of travelers. Many foreign travelers and scholars visited to India during the medieval period. That means in the previous lecture also we have seen the many foreigners came to India for the business, but with them they also brought their religions to India. So here also many foreigners came to India to visit their kings and everything, and they visited India in that medieval period. These travelers sometimes also visited the courts of the king. Then they came to India, they visited to the famous king of the India, and they have left behind the detailed accounts of their experiences in India. Then for visiting India, they came to India. Many foreigners came to India to visit here, and then they visited to kings also, and even they have got lots of experience from their kings and from the kingdoms. Then historians rely on the writing of the foreign travelers for a fair and unbiased account of the king's regions. Then that means foreign literary source. There are some foreign literary sources are also available, because some foreigners came to India and they visited to kings and the kingdom, and even they have written some foreign literary source. They also written their experiences in that book. So that book is called the foreign literary source. And the historian also believe that the foreigner has written the unbiased information about the kings and about the kingdom and about their region. These accounts give information about the political, economical and social life of the people. That foreign literary source tell us the information about the political, economic and social life of the people. Even the foreigners have written in their book about the king, but they also have written about the common peoples also. And they have written the political, economic and social life about the common people in their book. Historians often compare them with the accounts written by the court historians. That means this foreign literary is the historian is comparing this foreign literary source to the court chronicles also, because we have seen the court chronicles only. The court historian only written in his book about the king and about their kingdom, but they did not mention any life or any particular things and the social life about the common people. But in the foreign literary source, you can see the political, economical and the common life of the common people. So that's why the historian believe in foreign literary source, and they compare this foreign literary source with the court chronicles also. So Al-Biruni, who visited India with the Muhammad of Ghazni in 11th century, wrote extensively about the Indian people in his book. That means one foreigner was there, Al-Biruni, and he also visited to India, and he wrote one book about the Indian people, and that was Tahqiq-e-Hind. That book was named Tahqiq-e-Hind. Some well-known foreign travelers who visited India during the medieval period were Ibn Battuta of Morocco and Niccolo Conti of Italy, Abdur Razzaq of Persia, and the Athanasius Nikitin of Russia. That means many foreigners came to India and they visited India, and even they visited to the kings and their kingdoms. That means who visited India, some names are given here. Some very famous foreigners who visited India, their names are Ibn Battuta of Morocco, Niccolo Conti of Italy, Abdur Razzaq of Persia, and Athanasius Nikitin of Russia. That many foreigners, that famous foreigners came to India, and they have written about the Indian people, and they have written about the Indian kings also. So from the European also came to India, and they also have mentioned the common life of the common people. Now you please note down this all in your book, and one thing also you have to do, I have written here one biography only, Tariq-e-Sheikh Shah, but there are many of the biographies name are here, and who has written that this is also given. So you have to make a list of the author and the biography. The biography name and who has written that biography, and the biography name and its author. You have to make one column and write down the author and their biography. In 2 minutes you just note down these main points. Now in the next page we can see the regional literature. Some regional literature was also available in the medieval time. So if we read this regional literature, so we can also get the information about their kings and kingdom and their particular dynasties. So the poems, stories and dramas also help us to reconstruct the life and the times of the age. Jayadeva's Gita Govinda, Chand Baradai's Prithviraj Raso, and the work of Kannada poet Pampa and Basavanna are some of the gems of this period. That means in the regional period, in the regional literature, you can see some book. It is based on some particular language, and it is based on some particular land and some particular states. There are some poems, stories and dramas also. That means some poems are belongs to some particular state, or some stories are belongs to some particular land. This some kind of poems and stories and drama also tell us the information about that particular period. This period saw a profusion of the literature in the regional language such as Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, Odia, Assamese and Maithili, which we will read about in the latter chapter. That means the same some story, story, poems and the dramas, this also available in the different language, so that the other people also, some other states people also can read that. Because if the some books is in only the Telugu language, so we cannot read that book. If that same book we can get in the Gujarati or Hindi language, so we are able to read that book. That means the poem, drama and story were available in different languages. Now the religious literature. Religious means dharmic. Religious literature. During this period, Bhakti and Sufi movements become popular. In previous video also we have seen some Bhakti movements were developed in this medieval period, like Bhakti and Sufi movement became most popular in that period. The Bhakti and the Sufi saint wrote a lot of poetry which reflect the times they lived in. That means in Bhakti and Sufi saints were there who has written a lots of poetry which tell us that particular period which they were lived. That means some Bhakti and Sufi saints have written the book, and they have written in their book about the period which they were living. Even the Ramayana and the Mahabharata were translated into regional language during this period. That means Ramayana and Mahabharata, these are the most famous religious literature, and it is also translated in the another regional languages, so that other people also can read that. Now the calligraphy. Calligraphy is what? It is the calligraphy means stylish writing. That means the stylish writing. If you can also Google, so you can see the image of the calligraphy writing. It is very stylish written, so it's called the calligraphy. Many of the handwritten manuscripts in the medieval period were stylish written and beautifully decorated. That means it is very beautifully decorated and stylish writing. It is called the calligraphy. This kind of decorative writing is called calligraphy. Many of the handwriting manuscripts in the medieval period were stylishly written and beautifully decorated. That means that writing were stylishly written and beautifully written, and it was very decorative. So that writing is called the calligraphy because it was very stylish and beautiful and well decorated. Though the tradition of calligraphy existed in the ancient India, the Persian influence gave rise to distinctive style. Calligraphy was used to extensively to decorate the monuments, pillars, and stone. See, if some monuments, that means some pillar, stone were there, so the stylish writing were there. That means in the beautiful writing, some things were written on that pillar or on that stone. The calligraphy used floral and geometric designs also. Which kind of design they were using? They were using the use floral and geometric design. Now the archival records means government's records. Archival records means government records. Some government's record was also there. In government record we can see there are government documents or archival record. Government documents is also have another name is called archival record. Record related to the certain dynasties of medieval India. This document include royal order, treaties between kingdoms. Treaties means agreements and deal. That means one king is doing the deal with another king. That means one kingdom is doing the deal on some particular topic with another kingdom. They give us important information about the administrative policies of those days and help to reconstruct the history. That means in the government record you can see the royal orders, treaties, their agreements, their deals with the another kingdom, and the government from part of the government records, and everything was there in the archival record about the kingdoms. Now archaeological sources. Some archaeological sources are also there. First, I hope you have written this. Then we'll see the archaeological sources. First, we have seen the literary sources, biography. Many biographies are there. You have to make one table and their author and the biography names you have to write, and the heading will be biography. Then autobiography is also there in your book. So write down the author, the kings who has written this autobiography, and the autobiography's name. These two homework you have to do on this topic. Name the biographies and its author, name the autobiographies and its author. Then court chronicles also we have seen. Foreign literary source, writing of Ibn Battuta and Morocco Polo. These foreigners came to India, they visited to India and they have written their experiences in their book. Then archaeological sources will be there, monuments, sculpture and inscriptions and coins, but we will see this archaeological source in our next video. So today only we have covered what? We have today covered literary sources. Right? Now in the next video we will see the archaeological sources. So your homework is what? You have to write the biography names and the autobiography's name. This is your today's homework. So till we will meet in our next video. Till then, bye bye, take care and thank you.